Welcome to Ask a Puppy Trainer Show. This is episode number
97.
I'm Bethany. This is Sparky. This is Layla. We're going to see, yeah, I said your name. We're going to see how long she lasts.
She's like, I'm a puppy. You picked a wild one, huh?
No.
She looked calm.
She looked calm. She looked calm. She's like, I have 3 more minutes in me.
All right, so our first question is from one of our videos on YouTube, tips for potty training in an apartment. One of our people asked, so if they are fully vaccinated, we take them outside to potty if they don't use it. Do we then take them back in and put them in the crate for 10 to 15 minutes? Do we take them out? So if they're fully vaccinated, honestly, you don't even have to be fully vaccinated if you have a clean area to use as well, like a non-frequented area by other animals, which is maybe a little bit more difficult than I'm making it seem like it is. But yes, fully vaccinated, take them outside, and you stand there like a tree for 2 to 3 minutes. You don't move. The more you move, the more area they have to sniff, the more opportunity they have to be distracted.
Yep.
2 to 3 minutes, then they go back in the crate for 10 to 15 minutes if they haven't pottied, or if they've given you a pee but not a poop and you know you're expecting of that, then they'll go back in the crate and come back out. But if you only get a pee and you don't normally get a poop until the end of your meal time, you may not get that poop right away, even if you put them in 5 times in a row. They may be on a schedule where they have to eat first, and you just may need one more opportunity after that.
Yeah, you've got to kind of learn your puppy's schedule. Also, some puppies need a little exercise first before their system will even do that. So they might pee, and even if you do your 15-minute crate, they will not poop until they've had some sort of, work. So.
Yeah, and the second part of the question was basically what we already answered. We do not give them free roam, and honestly, I'm going to break that down even a step farther after. We do not give them free time until they've pottied outside, but now let's address this free roam. That is not a word that we use with puppyhood very often. We don't give free roam ever until the puppy is like 6, 7, 8 months old and they're doing really good. 95% of the time, they don't get into trouble when they're out of the crate, which is probably not what you're dealing with now.
And they're still usually dragging a leash.
And right now, I'd say they're either in a playpen, on a leash attached to your body or being held by you, or they're in the crate. If they're free roaming, you're giving them way too much opportunity to get in trouble. And if they do, it's your fault, not theirs.
And then there's also the thing that you got to remember is that when they go into adolescence, they tend to have some territorial instincts. And if you live in an apartment or in an area where you don't want your dog barking at every little noise, the sooner you give them freedom, they see space like territory. So they're much more likely to get barky with that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that just because you crate, your dog won't bark. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you're literally setting them up to bark if you give them territory. It's kind of like we say how to create a guard dog is to put them in the backyard all day.
You just wait them out.
Yep, that's how to create a guard dog, because eventually they are very likely to get very barky about their surroundings, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the kind of rules that you want to give your dog. You might have an easy, lazy dog that doesn't have a lot of dog genetics, and that'll make your life easier for sure. But always start on the side of structure rather than freedom.
This next one's a doozy.
I want to read one from here.
Yeah,
okay,
please.
So if you guys have comments or questions, you can put them in the comments below on TikTok or Instagram. Instagram, Dexter says, how to stop my dog from lunging at other dogs. Well, this is a good time to remind you guys, we really need age and breed, and this is a puppy show, not a dog show. But let's say your puppy is an adolescent, like 6, 7, 8 months old. What we do is we train them to follow us. So we do a really, really strong pack drive with the puppies. That's the goal. You're gonna have to hold her.
You getting tired?
My back is. She looks little, but big.
She's heavy.
Yeah.
She's heavy.
So you want to teach your dog how to follow you in all situations. And you want to start that in the house, in the backyard, in the front yard. Use food, use tools. I mean, whatever you're comfortable with. We use a combination of both, depending on the age of the dog. And so, okay, here we go. Border Collie, he's just 12 months old. Okay, so he's an adolescent dog. So it's the same thing. Anytime I say like 6 months and up, it's an adolescent dog.
The minute they hit about 6 months, they're kind of an adult, but it's like a young adult who still doesn't pay rent type deal.
An adolescent. That's literally what an adolescent is. They have doses of hormones. You just got to get a word in, don't you?
I have to.
They have literally just doses of hormones running through them, so they're starting to experiment more with, that's how they feel about their surroundings. So a nervous puppy sometimes turns into a reactive puppy, a reactive dog, things like that. Anyway, teach them how to follow you. They have to prioritize you over everything else. So if they are really focused on
Bye.
So if they are really focused on everything else, then it's not about your reactivity right now. It's about building a relationship with your dog where when you turn, they turn. Okay. And sometimes you got to start from square one in the house and in the yard and the hallway of your apartment building before you even try it outside. That's the best I can say about reactivity right now because it's foundation first. You cannot, well, you can, but we don't personally, even with a 12-year-old dog, we don't teach anybody how to say no until the relationship, the structure, the discipline at home is in check. And so that's the first thing you focus on, the impulse control of waiting at doors. Can you just go to your front door and open it and say nothing and your dog wait? A 12-year-old dog or a 12-month-old dog should absolutely wait. They don't have to look at you, but they're just like, I'm not going through that door without permission. So those are the kinds of things you're focusing on, that kind of relationship with your home and with yourself to follow you when asked is what your number one priority is before you layer on any sort of no. Because if you say no and the relationship's not there, it's going to fall on deaf ears. It's a border collie. It's going to push through it. Let's see. Lake Caveman says favorite treats to use. Their dog food. Their dog food. A dog works for their food rather than treats. Personally, if I get a dog that just really won't, like really fearful maybe, and just won't take food, I like real meat dog food because it's like a jerky. And then if it's a really bad situation, I'll just go to Ralph's and get a chicken. You got anything else to add? He does
Do I get to talk now?
He does not have anything else to add on the treats.
I didn't even hear the question.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your break.
Well, I did, because you wouldn't let me talk.
Whatever. When has me talking ever stopped you from talking?
Oh, it never will.
Yeah, I know.
It never will.
Then don't say that. You don't know what you're talking about.
There's another question.
Dexter has a follow-up. He says, yes, good with commands, but stalks every other dog. Thanks for the advice. But here's the thing. We get this all the time. Oh, my dog knows sit down, let's go, come. But do they know it when there's a dog around?
They're all parlor tricks.
Yeah.
If they can't be done in a distraction environment, it's a parlor trick. It's only done in the best of situations, and that's it. You're actually needing to teach impulse control, and if you have an older dog, 12 months old is older, that's an adult dog now, you should probably seek out a private dog trainer to teach you some tool work.
Because it's like, can you open the front door and squeak a toy and toss it outside the front door and the dog doesn't go out the front door? That's how you up the level of proofing before they're ready for the dog. You don't go boring in the home, sit down, stay calm, and then maybe at the park with no distractions, and then go to expect that with a dog. There are things, there's proofing that you create, kids running around, there's proofing that you create in that in-between before you can expect to be able to be like, hey, knock it off, little pop, let's go. And they're like, oh, okay.
I don't want to scare you, but I would probably say that 95% of the clients that I get when the dog is 2, 3, 4 years old that have actual aggression, like full-blown aggression, they see it around the mark that you're getting, which is why I said find a private trainer.
Yeah.
I made light on it. I'm going to make high on it.
He's right.
Find a private trainer before that escalates to aggression.
Yeah, he's right. Okay, pains me to say it. All right, Marcus Carrion says, how can I encourage my 6-month-old puppy to sleep through the night? He wakes up a couple of times for the past 2 weeks. He pees and poops. So how do I encourage him to stay in the down? Oh, that's a different question.
Is this the crate?
So first we're talking about the crate. This is actually a separate question. I know it says 3-4, but it's actually a separate question. Okay, so first just starting out with the crate, waking up 2 times throughout the night. My question is, if you just leave him in there and let him kind of cry it out a little bit, will he have an accident? That's the first thing you've got to figure out. Do you have anything to add?
No, well, it says he's already peeing and pooping. So is he already peeing and pooping in the crate?
Well, we don't know.
That's why I asked
that question.
Okay. Hopefully they're on. Maybe they'll give us a follow-up. If you're already getting pee and poop in the crate, I'm just going to pretend like they are so I can take it to the next level.
That's fine.
If you are, that probably means that you're giving food and water too late in the night. So they're going to sleep with a full belly.
Yeah.
And let me break that down even farther. I would give the final meal between 5 and 6. I would give the final water at about 5 and 6.
For puppies, if I
old
can,
is 6 months old?
For puppies, I try to do 4 to 5 if I'm having potty issues.
I'm gonna say for a really young puppy, like 3-4 months old, I'd do that. I think for a 6-month-old, I'd still
maybe
do 5
they
and
go
6.
to bed at 9 o'clock.
Maybe they do. If you go to bed at 9 o'clock, do what she said.
Probably don't. See, the reason we're going back and forth is just because you've got to figure out a schedule that works for your dog and your
It's
family.
true. And there's no direct science to dog training because there's a million different answers and only one of them may work for a client. So we'll give you suggestions until we find the right one. There was one more. Final potty before bed. That is also incredibly important. That's mainly for the pee and the poo.
It's amazing how many people don't do that. They do a potty and then they brush their teeth and check their email and clean up the kitchen and then sit down and have like a night tea. Like, no. You do all of those things and then you take out your puppy.
Yes, correct. And if your puppy goes to bed at 9, but you go to bed at 11, that's actually when your puppy goes to bed at 11 because that's your final potty opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, just try to push the time and see what happens. If the dog is not having accidents, just kind of let them cry it out a little bit. You can say no. You can try to be like no and tell the dog to calm down. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. You just have to play around with it. Okay.
Say what kind of dog this is first before you say the question because that's going to matter a lot for this question.
Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is different than this.
Yeah, but it's the same person.
I know, but
just say what kind of breed it is.
So do you want to read all the questions ahead of time before we do this? Because that can be your job.
No, but that's what I just did, so it worked out for this time.
That can be your job from now on.
I did it this time. I don't want to read anything.
All right, I know. Marcus says, how may I encourage my puppy to stay in a down? He continually pops up after I place him in a down. It's like he needs to sit to eat. He's a mini dachshund.
By the way, that's why he doesn't go down. He doesn't go down.
It's because it's like an inch and a half or something.
And that's also why they sniff everything on a walk.
Yeah.
I would say Dachshunds and Boston Terriers are the worst down dogs I've ever trained in my entire career.
I have a question though. Don't you think not all of it, but if, just judging by how I train, how I see other people train, don't you think trainers as well as owners, don't you think that the vast majority of the time when they're bending down to give that piece of food and the dog just leans up an inch to grab it and a mini dachshund an inch, they're already going to sit.
The ground.
And so that becomes a habit.
Absolutely.
And what happens is you're not meeting your dog where they're at. That's a terrible sentence, where they're at. But you're not
they should be.
You're not meeting them where their nose is in the down.
Actually, I like that. That's very good.
And I think I know I've done that with really short dogs. I'm just like, it's good enough.
I think about how I treat a short dog. No, that's an excellent point. Most people come down to treat. If this is the dog's head and this is us, we're coming down like this to treat. They just lift their head up.
And lean up and
now they're out of a down. So you got to make sure that you touch the food to the nose and then push the nose down using your food until it's level, looking straight forward, and then roll the hand and give the food.
And that's when you're teaching down, which you might have to reteach. You might have to reshape it a little bit.
I guarantee you will.
And then if you're like doing place and you're like stay and you move away, and they sit, no, come back in, lure into a down, but don't feed. No food, don't feed them right away. And it's stay again, move back. And then once they're staying in their down, when you come in, instead of like grabbing the food, already have it in your hand and come in low. So have the food in your palm or between your fingers and the thumb is on top of it. And already come, I know you can't see me because I'm out of frame now, but you're gonna go ahead and come in low so they're less likely to pop up. Just, you gotta play around with that kind of stuff. And then also, have you taught your dog slip leash pressure? So this is a 6-month-old puppy. And so does he understand leash pressure, whether it's collar or harness or slip leash, whatever you're using? Does he understand that? Because we teach pressure for down. So then eventually we can just kind of use our foot and do a little pressure on the leash with hardcore pop-up dogs, and they stay in a down. And if I go to lean down to feed them and they pop back up, I do pressure until they lay down, then they get their food. So I would say take everything we've said, and if you've already done some of it, you're probably not doing pressure work for down, because pressure work for down is down to the ground. So how you teach that is you're right next to place. He sits. You do food lure and pressure at the same time. Good, release. He pops back up. Good, release, pops back up. Pressure down. Good, release, pops back up. Sit down on the ground next to place. Whatever is easiest. And then you do that 10 times. And then on the pop-up, keep your pressure down. Good food, good food, good food when he's committed to staying down. That's how you build that up. Okay, anyway.
I like that part. I might also use a pet cot just to elevate them about maybe 3/4 of a foot off the ground so they're level to your knees.
Yep.
So when you're kneeling down and you're sitting on your feet, knees forward, sitting on your feet, and you're doing your good treat, pause, good treat, pause, good treat, pause, you're actually rewarding the stay in the down without having to say stay. Because one of our biggest pet peeves, I don't know if it's yours, but it's definitely one of mine, is when trainers teach stay, 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 all that does is teach your dog that they have to see the hand, hear the word in order to stay. This is like an automatic stay just by rewarding the behavior we want rather than demanding it.
Bingo. All right, cool. Shanty and Sparrow says, I have an 11-week-old Whippet puppy.
Shanty.
What?
Shanty.
Shanty. Shanty. Shanty and Sparrow said, I'm from there. I can do that, by the way, because I'm from those areas, just for the record. So
were you actually saying it right?
Don't send me hate mail.
I hope you do.
I have an 11-week-old Whippet puppy that loses all sense of focus. Well, yeah, you got a Whippet. Way to go. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding about the losing focus.
They need to see prey. Let them see prey. You'll get the focus for as long as the prey runs.
When out on leash and pulls like crazy. Inside, she knows her name, touch, sit down, stay. But outside, I can't get her attention at all. Well, you didn't say that she knows how to heel inside. You didn't say.
She's on too?
Shanti, hello, you're on. You didn't say that she knows how to heel inside.
Shanti, how do you say your name?
Because stop it. I'm sure it's what you said. I'm sure it is. Okay. Besides, okay. Anyway, you're getting off track. Okay.
That's my life.
You're getting me off track. I have very little brain power today. What was I saying? Okay.
It's either you or Kimberly.
She does not. So how? Okay. So just for the record, we've got her on Instagram, and she said she doesn't know how to heel inside. So how is she going to know how to heel and follow you? Sean T. Hey, like the workout person. Sean T. Okay. Except he actually says Sean T, but it's Sean T. Okay. Anyway, are you done? See, this is what you've done.
I'm 2 of 10 right now, so I'm pretty happy with my low percentage of wins.
I just ordered a no-pull harness. I hope that helps. Any advice is welcome. She's also a poo eater, so is always on leash. Yeah. Unfortunately, if she poops in the house, she usually gets it.
We'll come to that one by the end of it.
Okay, so no pull harness is fine. You can try that, absolutely. But you have to work on, we call it let's go work before heel, because let's go work is just movement work. So it's like you're in your kitchen and you want to keep everything in straight lines. Don't be doing circles in your house. It gets very confusing. Think 180s in your house. So it's like I have a hallway, I have a front door area, I can do a straight line, and then I have a diagonal in my living room to kitchen. And so I work a straight line. And what I do is the dog sniffs to up in front or to the side or something like that. I rock back, I add pressure to the leash, and then maybe she ignores it and I add a little more tension. And as soon as she looks at me or gives in towards the tension, I'm off of the pressure, good, and I rock back with a piece of food, which I don't lean out for food. She has to come all the way to me to get it, which is rested on top of my knee when I rock back or to the side. That's let's go work. And you do that over and over and over again until she's just watching you while you're walking. And then maybe open the front door and close it. She'll want to go outside. So that's your new distraction. So you maybe squeak a ball and put it in the corner, like he said, or something fluffy that looks like something they want to chase and get a hold of. Squeak it and leave it in the corner and do your let's go work off that. So find, these distractions inside. Then you can start to shape a heel. And it's easy to learn how to teach like a puppy heel as far as being on. It's not easy to teach, sorry. Heel is not easy to teach, but finding videos on how to teach it on Google, on YouTube.
Teaching it inside can be easy-ish.
It can be easy.
Going outside. I want to add one more for your let's go work though. But wait. Before you move on.
I wasn't moving on. Well,
I'm already interrupting.
I was just going to say.
I've already committed to interrupting you. So when I'm doing pressure for let's go, a common thing I see for owners is they do this. Let's go, and they pull this elbow in.
And they bend the elbow.
Bend.
Keep
this
it
is no
straight.
good. Move with your body. This can be challenged by a dog because there's this give and take. Yeah. When I keep my arm out and I move my whole body, well, I'm trying to keep it on camera.
I know, but
it's supposed to be down by your ankle, about
your
level
ankle?
with their chest and their neck.
Your ankle?
Their knee, whatever. You know what I mean.
No,
when
they don't.
When you walk backwards.
He's a mess today. I'm a mess. He's a mess.
Walk backwards. Your body creates the pressure, not the arm. So when they feel that pressure from the body, they can't combat that. They can't fight that.
Right.
Which is why we don't pull with the arm, we pull with the body.
That's a really
Are you done interrupting?
That's a really good way to put it. So don't pull with the arm, pull with the body. I like that. I just did a lesson the other day with a young dog, and the dog was doing great, but the woman is used to so much pulling on harness, and we had switched to slip leash, that every time she'd turn, she'd bend her elbow up, and then she'd take forever to relax it again. And it's like, stop bending your arm. Like the arm will just freeze it, and the pressure will naturally come, and then you just move back and use food if you want, or just move back and then turn, and the pressure naturally comes. And that's what he means by body versus arm.
And if you can't do that, put your dang thumb in your pocket.
Yes,
or a waistband.
And which we absolutely have clients do sometimes, because this is just so habitual.
We had a client that had to do it for 2 weeks, and finally they got it.
But anyway, hopefully that gives you, a start. And then when you do move outside, all I was going to say is you need, for me and for Sparky too, we think that you guys need to be super clear. You need to be super clear when break, sniff time, and we're working on let's go or heel, and you need to stay focused and stay with me, which means every time they pull, you go in the opposite direction. They pull, in a driveway this way, you're going to pull in the opposite direction and get back on the sidewalk. And so you're never letting them get to where they want to get to. You're always counteracting it with movement. And if it's super intense, a fancier way to do this, if it's super intense, is you actually learn how to do turns in towards your dog. And that's something else that you can look up.
If there's pressure on the leash, you have to do something about it.
Yes.
That's the easiest way to think of it. That's your line. I was waiting for you to say it.
Okay. So as far as the poop eating, always on leash, this is really, I would get one of those fancy collars that they have for Whippets and Italian Greyhounds, where they're thick, so they don't put thin pressure, on their tiny little throats. Get one of those fancy collars that are martingales. These can get crazy expensive because there's like a whole specialty line with Whippets and Greyhounds and Italian Greyhounds. Yeah, I said that right. And anyway, it's a martingale, but it's thick and it's even padded. That's what I would get for around the house when supervised, when it comes to that kind of stuff.
It has to be properly sized, though.
Head control.
They're about $168. That was the one I got a few.
She has a martingale.
Okay, good. Does it have the fur inside of it?
I don't know.
So we don't chafe the neck?
The fancy one? Well, I mean, if the dog's not pulling like crazy, it actually won't chafe the neck. And
you don't think this whip is going to be pulling?
And it depends on, in the house, and it depends just for the poop thing. Dragging a leash in the house?
Oh, that no. I'm talking about pulling for the walk.
Well, maybe.
Can we address the no pull harness
depends.
stuff before we move on? I do want to address that.
You can address it.
Lovely.
I said that she can use it if she wants to, because I've seen it work fine.
I'm going to give you the opinion of myself and the opinion of researchers on this one. So research has shown that a no pull harness that leads from the front of the chest, that cinches and releases, pulls the shoulders in and can damage the joints at the shoulder level for a developing puppy. That is what the science is behind it.
And a puppy is not fully developed till they're about 18 to 24 months old.
Yes. So that is just something I want to mention. I'll let you do your own research on it. I do like the martingale that she mentioned, the one with the little sheep fur inside of it, sized properly with the chain. That is better in my opinion. But
I want to do a side note. Okay, so everything that we said, we meant. However, for some reason, I was thinking 11-month-old.
I know.
And And I just saw 11-week-old. 11-week-old puppies don't heel, and they don't go for a walk. They don't. 11-week-old puppies don't go for a walk. What they do is they want to do everything that doesn't have anything to do with you. So you go outside for 10 to 15 minutes, and in front of your condo, in front of your home, and maybe your neighbor's house, you just do turns and stop and sit. Turn, stop and sit food. Turn, stop and sit food. You just work the puppy because there's no concept of the other stuff. So it sounds like you're doing a great job, Shanti, but you're asking for too much too soon. So keep going. And if you'd like a better breakdown of all the stuff that we talked about, your puppy is just the right age for our online school. So if you go to thepuppyacademy.com, you can actually check if you go to the puppyacademy.com, you can actually click on the online section and kind of see what that's about if you're interested. She's just the right age for it, so that's why.
You did also say that she gets the poop when she poops in the house. She's not ready for freedom in the house yet. I'm not sure if that's house as in like crate house. Yeah. That's what we call house.
That's what we call it,
if you're calling your home, she's free roaming there. If she's free off the leash, she's going to have accidents, she's going to eat poop, and that will eventually become a habit if it's not already a habit.
Yeah. So if I'm you and I'm doing playpen, I'm actually going to remove playpen unless my dog just pooped, and I'm going to give him like an hour tops in there, and then it's crate rotation the rest of the day to prevent that from getting to be a worse habit. Okay, hello, I just bought your program. Woohoo! This is from Sarah. And it's really great. She's talking about our online program. Puppy training online program. I'm currently trying potty training with my 2-month-old golden retriever. Cold climate in Canada, still snow on the ground. She's never been outside, and we're trying to potty train her to go outside. We bring her into the yard. She starts shaking and crying. Aw, pitiful golden retriever. She's cold, maybe scared. She doesn't do her potty, but she goes inside the house. Do you have any tips for this situation?
I do, and I saw it on TikTok. I do.
Please.
I have to say
it. Please not bring in TikTok.
We have TikTok right here. Why would I not bring them in?
No, I mean, like you saw it on TikTok.
This is one of the coolest tricks. I actually sent it to Bethany, and she responded, "Pretty freaking rad." All right. So it was a good tip.
This is good.
So they basically had grass, or I don't know if it was grass or turf, for their bottom layer.
This is too late for them, but anyway, Sarah.
It's not too late. They can just lay it down on top. So they actually bought another piece of turf that was maybe 4x4, and they laid it down on their turf or their grass, and then the snow would layer on top of that, and they could always pull back this 4-foot sheet of turf to give their dog this perfectly, probably a little bit chilly, but not snowed in patch of grass. The dog pees and poops, picks it up, covers it back up, they go back inside. That's to get rid of the icy part of it. What else do you have? I know you had something that you wanted to add to that.
So you think that in March, after a long winter, that there's still grass?
I don't know. If you have turf, there is.
So he grew up in Redondo Beach in Southern California, and he doesn't have a clue.
I touched snow for the first time last year.
So right now, if I'm you, I'm going to, and I don't know if Amazon does this in Canada. I really don't. But what I would normally suggest is that on Amazon you can get pretty inexpensive grass patches. And I would get a grass patch, and I wouldn't put it far out into the yard where he has to really go out there and deal with the elements. I would put it right on the other side of the door, the patio. Maybe, I'm trying to think, if you got like a sliding door or a door, I might put it on this edge of the house or this edge of the house, but close to the house. And my point is, I wouldn't put it far in the yard. And where they'd have to walk on snow and all of that to get to it. That's my point, if you can kind of think of it that way. Anyway, get grassy patches shipped to you, and maybe you could have this made. You can also buy them online, where it's like a little wooden container for your grassy patch, and he can step on there and start to potty on there. That's your best in between, honestly, right now. And here's the hard part. Your puppy at some point will have no choice but to go outside if you set it up that way. Now that means you might deal with some accidents in crate. You will deal with some accidents in crate, but the best time to do this is first thing in the morning. So, because we get this all the time in our area where puppies don't want to go anywhere but their backyard because we have heavy traffic and things like that, and they're nervous. Yeah, and the occasional rain. But it's like, if you crate them more and you choose the morning to be like, you're going out here, they won't do it. They're whining. They want to be picked up, like all of that. And then you give up after, 2-3 minutes. We usually say wait 2-3 minutes, and you just bring them inside and they potty. They learn that that's how it works. And so instead, put them back in crate for 10, 15 minutes, then give them a chance outside again. And you do that until they're forced to pee outside because they can't wait any longer. Pooping is going to be a harder one. I'll be honest, that's going to be a harder one to navigate, but at least you can get in the habit of peeing. Anyway, I hope that helps. And yeah, I think we're done.
We ended on the dot.
We ended on the dot. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Same time, same place next week. Bye.
Now we get to awkwardly smile.
Awkward smile.